So what is one of your biggest accomplishments, looking back in the last 10 years, musically?
Musically?
Yeah.
Well,
A lot.
yeah, just I don't know. I guess it's kind of
Reading trends, the dream of a viral moment, and the fight to stay relevant. These are all things that go through the mind of an artist every single day, always trying to get a one-up on the industry and react accordingly to trends before they arise. Fighting the uphill battle of finding a unique sound to stand out amongst the crowd, investing in the most relevant features to, well, stay relevant. In the last decade, we have seen many artists rise to the peak of the charts and then disappear off the face of the earth within the same month. The music industry has significantly changed, but one thing has stayed constant throughout the seasons. The Toronto native that pioneered his way through the waves, the trends, the boundary of genres, the best-selling artist of all time, Drake. Whether you love the man or hate him, there's a good chance that you're familiar with him. But becoming a household name was no easy task. Persevering through good times and bad, but ultimately staying true to his core values and moral compass. Displaying this through his discography, always taking ownership of who he is or what emotional highs and lows he's currently enduring. But how did an actor from Toronto go on to become one of the biggest superstars in the world? Well, we'll have to start at the beginning. Welcome to the channel, everyone. I'm Trav Docs. And before we can start this off, make sure you go ahead and drop a big old thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into it. 1989. At the age of just 5 years old, following his parents' divorce, Drake was raised by his mother in a primarily Jewish community of Forest Hill, an upper middle-class suburb of Toronto. A kind-hearted kid, always aiming to brighten the days of those surrounding him with a natural gift for humor and impressions. A talent that would lead him directly into the career path he had always dreamed of. Through a connection at his school, Drake befriended a boy whose father was a talent agent, and after meeting a young Drake, he decided to represent him moving forward. And just like that, Drake's career had begun. So fast forward to 2001, Drake lands his first major role as Jimmy Brooks, aka Wheelchair Jimmy, on the highly renowned Canadian drama series Degrassi. This show quickly earned a cult-like following in Canada, and eventually led Drake to win the Young Artist Award in 2002 for Best Ensemble in a TV series. But while acting paid the bills during the day, Drake's true passion lied within music. A passion that would lead him to cross paths with up-and-coming Toronto producer who went by the name of D10. And through D10 is where Drake was introduced to another big Toronto name, Boy Wonder. And it was through these early connections that Drake was able to release his first mixtape, releasing in 2006 titled Room for Improvement, a mixtape that sold an impressive 6,000 copies. But it was through Degrassi that Drake was able to give his career in music the kickstart it desperately needed, acting in the show until 2009. But while Degrassi had catapulted his name into celebrity status within the walls of Canada, his stock was still widely undervalued in many regions and simply unheard of in America. So, in an attempt to buff his reputation, Drake dropped yet another album in 2007, this time titled Comeback Season. And this album featured Drake's first real hit, Replacement Girl, featuring Trey Songz, a song that would go on to cause quite a buzz surrounding Drake's name, making a big wave over on the infamous platform of MySpace at the time, as Drake's name rose to the top of the unsigned artist section on the platform, something that caught the attention of Jazz Prince, son of legendary Rap-A-Lot Records' James J. Prince. Jazz liked what he had seen from the up-and-coming artist and decided he would call in an expert's opinion, playing some of Drake's early music for his friend Lil Wayne. Something, at the time, Wayne was not too fond of. But Jazz had a vision for the future of his young star and was persistent to bring his talents forward to Wayne. So, following a New Year's party in Houston, Wayne caught a ride with Jazz Prince to a jeweler's, and with a business-savvy mindset, Jazz decided to casually throw on some Drake for the ride. In a better mood this time around, the melodic sounds and multifaceted talents of Drake seemed to pique Wayne's interest at the time, prompting him to inquire a bit deeper into where this guy came from and what he was all about. An inquiry that led to much bigger things, as within 24 hours of this initial car ride, Drake was on a plane and headed out to Houston to meet the two industry giants. Something that couldn't have possibly came at a better time for Drake. As with Degrassi coming to a close, no steady source of income, and no sizable checks coming in through his rap career, at the time of Jazz's proposal, Drake was on the verge of having nowhere to turn but getting a real job to fund his music career. But to his surprise, Jazz had just landed him the biggest opportunity of his life. An opportunity that proved to be fruitful, as Drake and Jazz found themselves headed to Atlanta on Lil Wayne's tour bus. And upon arriving in ATL with the new formed team, Drake and Wayne hit the studio together, and that's when Drake laid down the original version of Forever, proving his talents to his early mentor. Drake found himself moving state to state with Wayne and helping him ring in his tour. Capitalizing on this newfound success, Drake wasted no time filming the music video for his hit song Replacement Girl. And on the set of this video shoot was when Drake would meet another Toronto producer who went by the name of Noah 40 Shabib. Upon meeting, 40 gave Drake a tape full of his beats, but never heard back from the rising star. It wasn't actually until a mutual friend of the two, Oliver, had encouraged 40 to put his pride aside and just ask Drake to work together. So 40 picked up the phone and the trio linked up for 4 recording sessions. And it was within these 4 sessions that natural chemistry was found. Because following these sessions, Drake and 40 have worked together ever since. And coming off this tour with Wayne is when Drake and 40 would release their project and Drake's third mixtape, titled So Far Gone, in 2009. This album featured the massive hit Best I Ever Had, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard's Hot 100 singles chart. The world had now become familiar with the name Drake, and they couldn't get enough of this refreshing R&B infused hip-hop style. And as the buzz grew, so did the bids, leading to a war to break out between record labels fighting over who could give this rising star a fatter contract faster. But it was in mid-2009 that Drake finally inked his deal with Lil Wayne's Young Money Entertainment. A deal that found Drake solidifying himself within some of the biggest names in the industry at the time, and heading out on a star-studded tour featuring Young Jeezy, Soulja Boy, Wayne himself, and of course Drake. All 4 headlining artists were scheduled to be releasing albums within the coming months. Jeezy's Thug Motivation 103, Soulja Boy's DeAndre Way, Wayne's genre-splitting rap rock album titled Rebirth, and Drake's highly anticipated debut album. And in the summer of 2010, Drake had finally dropped his album, Thank Me Later. Hot out the gates, this album debuted at number 1 on both Canadian and American charts, and it was certified platinum within the same month that it released. Truly flexing his multifaceted talents, Drake had shown an impressive range on this album, offering something for everyone, including transparency and vulnerability into who he was as a person, something that gave fans a sense of connection to the artist through his music, while still being able to pop off and go bar for bar on tracks like Miss Me with Wayne. Drake had adapted his own version of Kanye's 808 and Heartbreak formula and proved that the multi-genre talent wasn't just a trend. It was a much needed change to further provoke creativity and thoughtfulness within each project that an artist released within these genres. His emotional yet understanding bars seemed to appeal to the human being inside of everyone that listened to his music. But that was something that was even better displayed on the following album, Take Care. Another open book peering into the intimate ups and downs of Drake's rise to fame. An album that Drake gave 40 the creative green light to oversee the production and the architecture of this album. And I think it goes without saying that 40 did not let him down. But as the money and the success kept piling in, so did the problems. Boosting his stardom to an impressive new height, Drake had a few more familiar faces around him, one of those people being none other than Rihanna, someone he quite adored at the time. But the feeling wasn't mutual for Rihanna's ex, Chris Brown, as he did not take kindly to the budding romance that was forming between the two, eventually boiling to the point of hands being thrown in a New York nightclub. It seemed like old Chris had a serious struggle of keeping those meat hooks to himself. But continuing to build off win after win, and distancing himself from the drama that seemed to follow him around, Drake headed out on his Club Paradise tour to further promote his already massive album. But even on tour, 40 and Drake couldn't rest, and continued to keep the grind moving forward. And after winning the Grammy for Best Rap Album, Drake announced the title of his new album, Nothing Was the Same. And this album marked the point in time that the Drake era had come to an end, and the Drake regime was born. In the span of just 4 years, Drake had gone from an accepted rapper to one of the most well-versed and highest respected in the industry. The ability to cross over and extend into genres gave him an unimaginable amount of creative freedom and fusion to work with when perfecting his sound. And on February 12th, 2015, Drake released If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, with no prior announcement or promotion for the album. And this album, which happened to be the last on his contract with Cash Money Records, may have been a bid farewell to the record company, releasing Drake from his contractual agreement with Birdman and Cash Money. This surprise drop comes only weeks after Lil Wayne went on a tangent about his album, The Carter 5, being blocked by Birdman and Cash Money. And this album had a different feel to it. A harder set tone with some uneasy, look-over-your-shoulder reference lines. Drake documents the struggle and dangers of being a rapper, the celebrate now type mentality because moving forward, tomorrow is never promised. Especially in an industry so cutthroat and unforgiving, it seems careers can be ended just as quickly as they arise, which can stir up a large pot of jealousy when things don't go as planned. And Drake's success didn't go unnoticed. Passing a ton of his once equals on his rise to the top, he had seemed to somehow put a target on his back. And in July of 2015, Meek Mill finally had something to say about it, letting loose a barrage of hateful tweets targeted at Drake, stating that he didn't write his own music, he lies to his fans, the list goes on. All this coming to fruition as Drake chose not to promote Meek's album at the time, not on his Instagram or any social platform as many other artists had. Another rapper, OG Mako, then jumped in, naming one particular ghostwriter that Drake had featured in the writing credits of his tracks, 6 Man, 10 Bands, and Know Yourself. And the name that came to light was Quentin Miller, leaving 40 to come to Drake's defense, also tweeting about Quentin Miller, claiming that he had only been in the studio with Drake and 40 for about roughly 30 minutes. He also clarified that the team was not trying to hide the fact that Quentin contributed to the album, stating it's in the credits. But wasting no time, July 25th, Drake unleashed a diss track during his OVO Sound radio show titled Charged Up. Meek later responded on Twitter calling the track Baby Lotion Soft, and that he could tell Drake wrote that one. So in response, July 27th, Funkmaster Flex took aim at Drake and premiered a Meek Mill diss track, but it never actually released past the premiere. So while Mr. Flex and Meek went to bed that evening, Drake was up tactically planning his Scary Hours ambush. Drake pushed ahead and titled another track aimed at Meek Mill titled Back to Back. The cover for the song featured Toronto Blue Jays star Joe Carter after his walk-off home run against the Philadelphia Phillies in the '93 World Series. Carefully crafted with an extra creative sting. But this is where things get even more strategically thought out on Drake's side. As the night that he dropped Back to Back, Drake and his team caught word that Meek and Nicki Minaj were allegedly spending the night at the Four Seasons Hotel in Toronto. So, accordingly, Drake and his team rented out the room directly above Meek's and blasted Back to Back on loop all night long. After this, things seemed to cool off. Drake released his mega hit Hotline Bling, and this song was internationally accepted and ran up the charts. People listened, people watched, and charts didn't lie. Drake was a #1 selling world-renowned artist. And while this beef had ran stale for a while, later in the year, Drake and Future released their joint project, What a Time to Be Alive. And this album was full of digs at Meek. A few more blows would be given and received at both ends, but Drake had essentially put a nail in this coffin, as each Meek Mill track that rolled out seemed to land worse and worse within the audience paying attention to it. But after the smoke had settled in the summer of 2015, Drake had bigger things in mind, locking his sights in on running Summer 16. After announcing in late 2014 that a new album was on the way, it had now been years of anticipation, and fans were not disappointed as Drake released his album, Views. Seeming to be at the top of his game, Drake enjoyed a few smash hits off this album, as well as sitting in the Billboard charts top 200 for 100 consecutive weeks. An album that once again showed Drake's versatility to jump through genres with ease. A career that up until this point, Drake referenced as a fairy tale vibe, and said that him and his team were just rolling with his continued success, enjoying every minute of it. But as we've previously learned, some people just won't be happy about your success. And while Drake had been climbing the charts and enjoying the fruits of his labor, the longtime nemesis of Lil Wayne, and now foe of Wayne's prodigy Drake, former Clips and No Malice member Pusha T, had locked his sights in on Drake, Drake's father, 40, and he even brought a new name to light this time, Adonis. Pusha T's track The Story of Adidon was about as foul as anyone had ever seen in a typical diss track, attacking Drake's character, motive, and inspirations, blaming Drake's parents' divorce for Drake's inability to settle down, and also airing out Drake's biggest secret that he was not ready to share yet, his infant son named Adonis Graham. Pusha T also sent some shots 40's way, making fun of his multiple sclerosis and counting his minutes left on Earth. This track caused a lot of controversy and was a classless attention grab to get more views on an album that probably wouldn't have sold well had there not been a reason to go out of your way and listen to it. Drake didn't respond at the time, and it wasn't until the release of Scorpion a month later that answers were finally found out regarding his son. But while this was big drama at the time, it didn't take long for this to blow over among the industry, as shortly after this feud, Drake then became the first artist to record 1 billion streams in 7 days. Drake, now in his 14th year of making music, was now one of the greatest artists to ever grace the earth, shattering records that were thought to stand the test of time and passing all-time greats in the process. And with the Scary Hours EP being released and on pace to do 100 to 150k first week, securing Drake yet another chart-topping single, it seems as though he has the Midas touch, or better yet, the Drake effect, where everything he touches turns to platinum. If you've made it this far, I want to say thanks for watching this longer video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you all very soon.